I'm Diane Lapp,
And I'm Marisol Thayre.
and what we're going to share is a 4-week unit that we designed and completed with juniors at Health Sciences High School. The theme was to study the book of Romeo and Juliet. And if you've ever taught Romeo and Juliet, you know that traditionally students have a real hard time with Old English, and they often, because of the trouble that they're having with understanding the language, they lose the plot of the story. And so we decided that we were going to do this a little bit differently so that we could keep them engaged throughout the entire process. And so the way that we did it, and we're going to share this with you in little chunks, but we had the great idea, we think, that if we had a student identify with a character and follow that character only through one act, and then meet with a home team of other people who had also chosen the same character, that they would become very versed in the character, the development of the character that they had chosen. But our dilemma then was, how do they learn about all the other characters, and also how do they get a feeling for the entire text? And so the unit that we're going to share with you and show you kind of in a backward planning way did accomplish that. Our students learned about a character throughout all the 5 acts of Romeo and Juliet, and they also were able to situate the character within the context of the story to see how that character played out through interactions with the other characters.
So what you're looking at is the assignment sheet for the character analysis project, and as Diane mentioned, students signed up for a specific character and a specific act to analyze. So what I'm going to show you is a finished product for the character of Lady Capulet in Act 1. And so this project was twofold. Students met with a group of other students who had signed up for that same character in different acts, and also created a personal wiki page that reflected their knowledge of their character in that act. So what you're looking at right now is a Voki that was created by the whole group that analyzed Lady Capulet. So if you take a look, they've actually compiled all of their analyses from the entire play into one small Voki, and this is all they were able to say. So they needed to be very concise and to the point about what they had discovered about their character.
So what this caused them to do was continually summarize and keep returning to the text to analyze if they were looking at their character across all of the acts. And as they did that, they were able to synthesize the information they were collecting about the character's development in order to make one nice little concise statement.
So to give you a glimpse of what a Voki sounds like, here's the example Lady Capulet group came up with.
Hello, my name is Lady Capulet. I am a fine woman married to Capulet and with a beautiful daughter, Juliet. I tend to always do as my husband suggests. I look for the best in the future of my daughter, not just my own. There is this good-looking young man by the name of Paris, whom has offered his hand to my dear daughter, and I will pursue to get them married. It is the best option for all of us. Besides, she is 13, it is about time she gets married. I need his money, grandchildren, and her to be happier off married. I love her and think she would be just splendid following our commands.
So before students got to this stage, they created their own personal wiki in which they summarized their character and also came up with specific evidence from the book to support their findings. So we have a summary, the first content block, their different claims in the second, and finally the linchpin of the assignment was a meme in which students created a snapshot of what their character was like in that specific act.
And we got the idea for that, to use a meme, because students were so interested in this, and we could see they were always on their phones looking at memes. So we knew we already had their interest.
And we thought this would be a great way to showcase standards linked to character analysis, so that students were actually referencing the text in the formation of the different memes and written components that they put together. So after we decided this is what we wanted to do, we needed to think of the kinds of skills our students needed to complete these projects. And one of the major skills they needed was to close read a difficult text such as Shakespeare. And one of the ways that we built some background knowledge and some practice before we dove into Shakespeare was to teach them annotation and also give them access and lessons on 2 close readings about Shakespeare. So what we're going to now is a tab where we have included files for 2 close readings related to Shakespeare. So the first one is an informational article on Shakespeare's identity and an accompanying PowerPoint. Students did this in class with us, modeling and guiding their thinking and also collaborating with their peers. At this point, they had already been taught annotation, so this was a review, but it also let us know areas that they could have used some more instruction in annotation and close reading wise.
The reason that we chose these 2 short readings was because we wanted them to have a context for Shakespeare, but not really get into Romeo and Juliet, because in a close reading we didn't want them to have all those insights before they began to read on their own.
So when it came to actually reading Romeo and Juliet, we used a few aids and scaffolds for students that might need a bit more help. And if we go to the main page, I'll show you some of the tools that we used. One was an audio recording of Romeo and Juliet that we accessed through YouTube. This was played during the read aloud sessions where the teacher could model thinking and also ask collaborative questions between groups. We also included links to the No Fear Shakespeare website, and this website enables students to actually look at Shakespearean language in plain text side by side so they can follow along with the lesson and still get the content of the story without having to worry so much about decoding the words if that was tripping them up. So that was one way that we built the skills to close read and analyze Shakespeare. The way that we taught the students how to create their own wiki pages and Vokies was actually through the use of screencasts. So we created a screencast that showed students how to create a personal page in a group wiki. We did this in a guided group instruction setting, and also students were able to access this on their own online as well.
And this was a nice way that we differentiated so that they could keep going back and looking at this anything that we had online to offer them a support, an individual support.
We also did a screencast for students creating a Voki as well. So this was done in groups. They were able to talk and get each other's feedback in real time. And this was also, as Diane said, a way to differentiate. Students could spend more time on certain areas if they needed, or they could access this on their own, which is a feature of online instruction.
What we found was that they started to really understand the language from all the interactions that they were having with each other. And also it propelled them back and forth in the text to keep finding support for anything that they were thinking or questioning as they talked about their character across the different acts.
And one of the main strengths of this project is that students were able to use each other's pages as tools and reference points for later essays or even just discussions. So that's one way that you could use this source on Haiku to create a really fun, interactive lesson on Shakespeare. All right, thank you for your time.
Bye.